last year, barely a single household has remained untouched by loss of life. Apart from wars, there hasn't been such a surge in death rates for a century. And with normal life so disrupted, there have been delays to treatments. People have been kept away from dying loved ones. Funerals have been online or attendance limited. Not being able to say goodbye has made it hard for people to take in their losses. Common responses to losing someone very often include that question, why didn't you save them? If onlys are voiced in our minds, if not aloud. In John's Gospel, the sisters of the deceased Lazarus are every bit as devastated. Initially, they are resigned. Everyone knows the dead don't come back. For all our deepest, most understandable longings and regrets, no one's ever seen a dead man walking. But if Mary and Martha think their family friend Jesus has remarkable powers, what comes next at this most testing of times could not possibly be foreseen. We didn't know. When he finally made it to Bethany, one of them let it slip when Jesus came back later. He hadn't simply dropped exactly what he was doing, Jesus, when he heard Lazarus was so ill. Too right, I was surprised, put out even. I thought he loved us, we three, and how we were together. Except what he did then proved me right. I did understand the delay. It was risky. Doubt that would have put him off. No, it was for impact. Nobody could deny Lazzy had been dead. We sent an urgent message, of course, but Lazzy was 4 days buried when someone came to say Jesus were on his way. I made Mary stay with the house guests. Now I was senior partner, she must mind the guests for once. I've been doing okay. For the minute I clapped eyes on him, I remembered his last visit with us. I'd had so much to do. And there's Mary at his feet, hanging on his every word. And Lazzy starts to sob. If you'd been here, you wouldn't have died. I know, sounds like I was blaming him, but his healing powers made him a legend. It was all over the district about a man who couldn't see till Jesus, even out here in Bethany. Thing is, 3 were never a crowd with us, more a magic number. Inseparable we were, united household, each with our particular gifts. Complementary like. I was the mother, strong, sensible, the overseer. Lazzy, the only son, kind, intelligent, creative. Mr. Fix-It, truly good person. And Mary, the bright spark, the motivator, the dreamer. We just belonged together, but couldn't bear the thought of life without him. Everything just felt unreal. Jesus, I still believed that God would hear him if only he were to ask, despite him getting there too late. The prophet Ezekiel's dry bones were far longer gone. Jesus asked me if I believed dead people could rise again. I didn't stop to think if he meant like here and now. I was far too upset. But when I said yes at the end of time, his reply was puzzling. That he was the resurrection and the life. Whoever believed in him would never die. I felt flustered when he'd asked if I believed that, but as I looked at his face, that was a proper mess by now. It was a bit blurry. But that was the easiest of questions to ask. I just knew that he was the Messiah, the Son of God, the one who was to come. That was exactly what I did think. If he said believers wouldn't die, they wouldn't. But Lazzy's soul, past the point of no return by now, surely. As we got to the house, I said I'd bring Mary out, hoping no one would notice, so we could just go to the graveyard by ourselves. But all you need's one busybody cousin who just can't bear to miss anything, and the whole blooming lot must now come with us. Good cry at the grave, my dear, that'll do us all the power of good. Mary fell to her knees when she saw Jesus, drama queen. But she said exactly what I had, how Lazzy would still have been alive. Jesus was proper upset himself then, and everyone saw it. They were still muttering that the blind man's healer could surely have done more than just cry. We went then to the tomb, sort of cave with a rock sealing it, and Jesus said, "Open it." I tried to stop him. Corpses smell awful, you know, and touching them, well, that defiles you. But ignoring me, he signalled to the menfolk to go ahead. I pulled my headscarf up over my nose like a mask. It reminded me then I'd only to believe if I wanted to see God's glory. And then he prays aloud to his Father. And he shouts, "Lazarus, come out." And there he was, complete with linen wrappings, stepping out into the sunlight. Dead man, walking. Not. For human beings who live out their days in the shadow of death, bearing it in those we love is both frightening and painful. Our minds become swamped by questions. Will we ever see them again? Does their body's failure mean they no longer exist? Jesus wanted his friends to be sure that it wasn't so. They only needed to believe in him, in who he really was, to neutralise their fear of the inevitable grave. When this last and most important of St. John's 7 signs, that Jesus was God's Son, took place, Jesus' own death, at the hands of those who'd been severely tested by his presence, was imminent. For various reasons, Jesus would not be tolerated, but that provided God with the ultimate opportunity to prove his Son's worth, and by doing so, the love that he had for poor, fallible humankind. For God sees dead men and women walking every day. To him they are never dead, merely living somewhere else. With the raising of Lazarus, he prepared a small group to understand that. With the raising of his Son, he would reveal it to all flesh.